Okay, friends, I know you guys miss me, but you're just gonna have to watch the video today. Okay, natality is the term used to discuss production of new individuals, so giving birth. But it also means you might have just like sprouted an arm like a hydra, or just divided yourself. So it's fertility, but it doesn't necessarily have to be sexual production. Realized fertility versus potential fertility. How many kids do most people have? Like, obviously humans could have more, but they don't. So it's how do animals make that decision about how many kids to have. Potential longevity, lifespan attained in ideal conditions, and realized longevity. So you have potential fertility and realized fertility. You also have potential longevity and realized longevity. So the potential longevity for humans is like, I mean, people live to be 110, but everyone doesn't. I think the average in America is like 76 or something. It's going down. We're actually dying earlier, heart disease and things. So potential longevity is the maximum lifespan attained in ideal conditions. You're probably not going to live to be 110. Realized longevity is the actual lifespan of an organism. So you could live to be 110. I think the average or actual realized longevity for humans is about 74 or something like that. Immigration versus immigration. You already have this, moving in or moving out, so we're not going to do it again. 3 main methods of estimating population. Yay! One of them is a cohort life table, identifying individuals born at the same time and recording their births and deaths. A cohort, by the way, is a group born at the same time and moving along. So they often give them names like Generation X and all those kind of things. But it's typically a group that they've kept track of. They're born at the same time. You know, those that graduated from high school in 2015 are a cohort, and they're going to look at their lifespan. So a cohort life table starts you at birth and looks at you till death. We do this with baby boomers. This seems awesome, right? Why would we not do this? Because this data is great. Let's know how the baby boomers are doing. Are they smoking? What are they doing? Whoops. Cohort life table. Why are we not doing this? It would be great data. Go out and find 22 seedlings and mark them and then measure them every 6 months for 15 years. Because it's exhausting. Like, we couldn't possibly gather that much data. Like, go hang out with the geese, and if there's a new little baby goose, then you got to follow it around until it dies. It's not feasible. It's great data, and when people do it, we're like, oh wow, that's great. And it usually gives really, really good data. But the truth is, it's just exhausting. So typically we do another method of estimation. So a cohort life table would be great if we could do it, but we just usually can't. So we have other things like a static life table. This just records the age at death. So this is going to give us an idea of at what age are people dying. So one of the ways to do this that I used to make people do, and it bothers some people, so I stopped doing it. We could go to a cemetery and look at all the ages that people died, and we would make a table, and you would actually see trends. You would say, oh, I wonder if there was a war there, and certainly there would be World War II, or there would be a plague, or there would be something, and you can see that if you go to a cemetery. You can also, if taking carcasses, and other ways to do that. This is just a snapshot in time. This is like how many squirrels died in 2016. I just took data from that. One must be able to estimate the age at which these things die if you don't know how long they are born. One of the ways to do this, horns show age, teeth, rings on turtles, tree rings for trees, for plants. It's there are growth rings that we can look at. But most every animal has some way to distinguish its age. So a growth ring, so like teeth, you can measure, rings on turtles, horns, you can look at skulls, you can look at different kinds of, you can do some kinds of DNA. Dynamic versus a static life table. So the static life table is only going to give you a snapshot of death. It's not really going to show you all of the other data. It's still good though. It's still very useful data, and cohort, and they're really, really nice to have some of these tables. So another method is age distribution. This calculates the difference in proportion of individuals in each age class. It assumes differences from mortality. So this is going to tell you how many people are 0 to 4 versus 65 and up. And you sometimes have this like bulge in a population. So that's really good data to know, and they usually always keep track of it in humans. Here's human data in the United States, I think. Yes. So the population 17 million. Look at this. In the 1900s, we didn't have a ton of people up here in the 85. It was kind of unusual. Here's 60 to 65. Then in the 1960s, we had more people living longer. And just now we have more people. So you see the general thing is getting bigger and the peak is getting a little bit wider because we have more people. But we're not coming off here at these, up here at these. So if you look at the third one, now we have way more people in that 85 category. In that 65 and up category, we have a lot more people. The forecast for 2015 is even more people in that category. And if you look out at 2050, you're looking at a really even number of people living way longer. I don't know why the 85 and over category for women is so big, but I find these tables really fascinating. And you can do this for every kind of animal to estimate whether or not their population, this will help you with hunting regulations. This will help you with a bunch of other data to determine how many of a population there's going to be. Because if you look at if the death rate is lower and the population increases, you could look at an exponential growth of people because people aren't dying at the same rate. Okay, so I don't want to talk about that right there. A way to describe the mortality schedule of a population is a life table, just developed by insurance companies to see how long people lived. It's a good time. You got to do something like that. So again, an age distribution is going to tell us and a life table is going to tell us how long people are going to live. So to calculate this data, you've got age, number alive at age X, proportion surviving from the start of the table, and per capita rate. I don't know why that surviving is not spelled right, but we'll come back to that later. Okay, so and this will get you a static life table. This will get you a table that looks like this, where they're doing it with birds. So observed number of birds, and then age in years. So this is 1-year-old birds, 2-year-old birds, 3-year-old birds. Do you see that? And this observed birds alive. So all the birds were alive the first year. They started out with 115 birds. Then a bunch of them died. So this was a huge loss. But then actually they stayed fairly stable. From first year to second year, only 6 birds died. Then from second year to third year, only 7 birds died again. But then in the fourth year, 10 birds died. Almost all the birds died. The fifth year, there was only 1 bird left. And the sixth year, So you can kind of look at this and say, boy, the odds of you living to be a 6-year-old bird are basically 0. The odds of you living to be a 3 or 4-year-old, 2 or 3-year-old bird are actually pretty good. So this is going to help you determine what your population is going to look like. You've got proportion surviving at the start, which is just LX, DX, and then QX. And then you can play with this data as you go. The life table calculations are just, you're going to take that first chart and you're going to just estimate the population as you go down. We will do this in class, don't worry. So check your answer. If N3 is 12, if Q2 is 0.37, and if L4 is 0.17, see if you can make this work. Usually start a life table to make a survivalship curve. You usually start at 1,000 NX or LX data on a curve to determine life expectancy. See, you're starting at 1,000 of numbers alive, not 1,000 years. Nobody lives 1,000 years. Okay, do you see how we did that? Again, we'll go over this in class. I just want you to have some idea of the things plotted, okay? Okay, there are 3 types of survivorship curves. One of them is, type 1. There are 3 types. Type 1, type 2, type 3. This is a high, look at this. Not very many people live into age 2 here, but if you make it to age 2, you might even make it to age 10. Here, it's kind of an even shot all the way. And here it's like, oh, everybody makes it to age 8. But then it drops off after that. What kind of lifespan do population 1 have? Let's think about what that looks like. That seems humanish to me. Like, there's not a high rate of infant mortality. And once you make it, childhood is not that horrible. You're probably going to make it, and then you're going to die off at old age. Lower mortality early in life, then high, and then you get high loss in older generations. So at some point you are going to die. You can't live forever. Examples would be humans. We'll look at some other examples. What kind of lifespan do population 2 have? This is like every man for himself. You might live to age 2, you might live to age 10. This is going to be a population that are highly predated, like they're getting eaten a lot. Oh, you know what? We're going to have to come back to 3 because I'm almost out of time. Okay, I'll see you in the next video.